Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
This is Racing Across America, and yes, I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your tuning in this morning for some stakes recaps after it was a really great stakes day yesterday across the country and north of the border as well. And we'll hit on some of those stakes in recap this morning. Also coming up a little bit later on, still some great stakes action today down in New York. There's the Pebbles, really nice full field there. But up in Canada at Woodbine, we talked with Ron Geerkink yesterday about the Natalma and the Summer, a couple of grade ones, winning your ins for the juvenile turf stakes at Del Mar Breeders' Cup weekend. But one of those entries, Dripping Gold, goes out for our friends at West Point. So I reached out to Tom Bellhouse. We'll have him come in this morning and talk a little bit about Dripping Gold this afternoon. In the summer stakes up at Woodbine, we'll also hit on some of the West Point runners that are likely coming up. First Captain, potentially in the Pennsylvania Derby, and we'll get little updates on Flightline, who's just run off the screen twice now for West Point and Company, and Sequest, who looked good in debut and then ran fourth in the Spinaway, has had a workout down at Churchill since, so we'll get a little update on her as well. All of that coming up a little bit later on as Racing Across America will continue. Going to hit you with a little news here at the top of the show, and one of the things I wanted to bring up, I mentioned it weekday afternoon when we came in this week, but it dawned on me as I was driving in. We do have the weekend warriors who have jobs during the week and can't tune in, and may only tune in during the weekend. So I did want to alert you that the National Turf Writers and Broadcasters have sent out their 2021 award winners, and I wanted to bring it up because my Saratoga Summer Sunday morning co-host on Loose on the Lead, Steve Bick, honored with the Jim McKay Award for Career Excellence in Broadcasting. Well deserved, as the press release says. Bick's 5-day-a-week news magazine has become a must-listen for many industry participants and fans. Bick began writing about racing in 2002, eventually developing DerbyTrail.com, his nice forum, and then he joined At the Races and Beyond on Sirius in 2005 and took it over in 2007. As I said the other day, times out nicely, because if you were watching this summer, he had the 2 weeks where he was out at Del Mar for the Pacific Classic and then in Vegas for the National Handicapping Championship. So the week before he left, we took a couple chairs and planted them out in Clare Court, and we did kind of a history of Bick that aired those 2 Sundays he was out of town. 2 parts, and it just kind of went into how he got into the radio side of things. And of course, now with the DT Stables, he's an owner. They bred some horses, and so we talked a little bit about all of that with Steve, the history of Bick, as I say. And you can catch that. It was the next to last week and the third to last week up at Saratoga, those Sunday Loose on the Leads. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can pull those up and again see the history of Bick, as it were. But congratulations to Steve Bick on winning the Jim McKay Award. And he gets in. There'll be a presentation, Breeders' Cup week, of the awards from the National Turf Writers and Broadcasters. I think it's that Wednesday night before the Breeders' Cup out in the Del Mar area. So he'll receive the award then. But he gets in with a great bunch of other award winners. I don't know if you remember John Shear, who retired as the Santa Anita paddock guard this year at age 100. But the story on his story, his notable story, that's notable in itself, I suppose, that he retired at age 100. But what do you get? Do you get, it's not even a gold watch. They must give you like a platinum watch at that point. But it was 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, there was a loose horse. So John Shear was well into his 90s. There was a loose horse, and it was heading towards a little girl, if I remember, a little toddler. And John Shear stepped in front of the horse and took the blow. The horse hit him, but saves the little girl from getting hit by the horse. And so, it was a notable story at the time, as I say, an act of pure courage for a 90-something-year-old to do that. So John Shear also is being presented the Mr. Fitz Award, typifying the spirit of racing. So congratulations to him, certainly. Also among the award winners, Del Mar publicist Dan Smith. He will receive the Joe Palmer Award for meritorious service to racing. And our friend Lenny Schulman also gets an award. And congratulations to Lenny. He is going to be honored with the Walter Haight Award for career excellence in turf writing. Bick for career excellence in turf broadcasting. Schulman, career excellence in turf writing. So again, a nice class, and congratulations to everybody, including, as I say, my Sunday morning co-host, Steve Bick, on the honor. Voted on by their peers. I was a voter as well. Members of the National Turf Writers and Broadcasters Association. The vote took place over the past couple of months. I voted as soon as the ballot came out, but I know there were reminders coming through the email up until a couple of weeks ago. So they tallied them up, and again, really deserving, a great group that will be awarded the 61st Annual Awards Dinner on Wednesday, November 3rd, as I say, out at the Breeders' Cup week. Also notable news, the first Tapeta races have been delayed down at Gulfstream. They were scheduled for next Thursday. They'll be held off about a week or so. The rail got caught up in transit, so they didn't have the rail to put in. They considered using the temporary turf rail and decided against that. Probably a good move there. Get it all in place the way it should be, and then they'll go. They're anticipating starting training on the track about the 23rd, and they'll start racing about the 30th. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it was a fun move, and I think a productive move, because you want to give that turf course, now that Gulfstream is essentially year-round, you want to give that turf course a little rest. This will give some runners the opportunity to schedule races for synthetics, and turf runners can go over there. Now, I would assume when races get washed off the turf, I would assume they'll move to the synthetic just by practice, because a few years ago when Keeneland had that synthetic track, sometimes they would get washed off the grass and move to the synthetic track, and the field size would increase. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out down at Gulfstream. But again, we can look forward to some races on the synthetic down there playing out about the 30th. It looks like they'll move there. Essential Quality Knicks Go. We're on the Churchill Work tab. Yesterday morning, Essential Quality got his first work since the Run Happy Travers. And again, they were down at Churchill. Worked a half mile in 49 and 2. Also working was Knicks Go. He went 6 furlongs in 112 and 4. Knicks Go is working in preparation for the Lucas Classic at Churchill on October 2nd. Brad Cox saying that's going to be a great spot for him to lead into the Breeders' Cup. So Essential Quality, heading towards the year-end big day off of the Travers victory. Knicks Go looking to get the one more race in the Lucas Classic down there. And again, that's going to be October 2nd. There were a couple other news stories of note. Let me just pull them up. I had them over here on the computer. Ricardo Santana going to be on the sidelines for a little bit until Saturday, September 25th. Got a 3-day suspension that goes back to an infraction up at Saratoga on August 25th. So if you're looking, you don't see Santana for the next few days. He'll be back next weekend, again with a short suspension going back to Saratoga. Jockey Luis Cardenas, who had a spill, was injured in a spill very early in the Saratoga meet. He's getting some physical therapy now, and he thinks sounds like about 2 months away from a return there. But good news that he's back on the path to getting back to the races. Bad news on the jockey side, jockey Thomas Mejia, a 10-year suspension from the stewards down at Monmouth for possession of a buzzer. But it was a funny story, and if you haven't seen it, go online and see and look at the pictures that were cycling around social media, because he won a race down there a picture was taken as he was trotting back, I think, to the winner's circle, maybe on the back stretch. But you can see kind of coming out a little device with a couple of prongs, which is not a good thing, and particularly if it's in a photograph. And it went around social media and got some buzz, no pun intended. And stewards took a look at it, and 10-year suspension for jockey Thomas Mejia with the buzzer violation, the battery violation there. So again, it was a funny story, and the picture goes around social media subsequently, and that's obviously no slap on the wrist. 10 years on the sidelines. All right, let's jump into the stakes action. Again, we talked a lot about it in preview yesterday. We had Ron Gearkink on talking a little Woodbine. We had Anthony Stabile talking some Belmont stakes, and Joe Christofek previewing the Churchill action. There was also great stakes action. I didn't pull up any of the replays yesterday from Laurel. We were running the Laurel races during the afternoon yesterday, and there was some nice stakes action down there as well. But we'll take a look at Belmont, Woodbine, and Churchill, and we'll kick things off taking a look at the Jockey Club Derby Invitational yesterday at Belmont. The favorite in there was Bolshoi Ballet. I like Bolshoi Ballet. Just, I don't know, kind of turning into the stretch, you kind of had the feeling it was not going to be his day. The winner will be Yeber, who was also very logical, coming in from Europe for Charlie Appleby. Soldier Rising runs a good second, and the long shot Slick Back runs third. Yeber, the number 2 horse. Soldier Rising, the number 4 horse. But this is a pretty convincing win, 2.5 lengths for the European shipper under Jamie Spencer. Jamie Spencer, after the race, said the horse was a little lazy early and was sitting in the back of the pack of 7. But when they got going, he was going very well, obviously. And again, the chart margin, 2.5 lengths. They're going to return to Europe with this one and then contemplate and decide whether to come back for the Breeders' Cup turf or not. But nice, obviously, effort there for that one, getting it done. And again, you contemplate, do you come back for the Breeders' Cup turf? Don't forget, that was a nice win yesterday, but it was the Jockey Club Derby, as the title implies. It was for the 3-year-olds, but when you get a chance, you got a good 3-year-old turfer, and you're looking at $1 million, you're going to come over and take a shot at that. This was a nice series. The Belmont Derby, the Saratoga Derby, and then yesterday the Jockey Club Derby, and they also will look at the girls' side wrap up as well. It's been a fun addition to the New York calendar, and it has attracted some nice runners, and with that kind of money, some nice European runners as well. As I say, Bolshoi Ballet, a little bit disappointing, running 4th as the favorite, won the Belmont Derby, and then was 4th in the Saratoga Derby, 4th again yesterday, but the winner certainly looked very convincing in there. As noted, there was also the Phillies side, the Jockey Club Oaks Invitational yesterday. I liked Higher Truth, and I thought Higher Truth ran very well. I had that one over Shantasara, so I had 2 over 6. It came out the other way, but they duked it out down the stretch. I thought Higher Truth Higher Truth is the number 2 horse in here on the inside of Shantasara. And right here, I think, Higher Truth's going to gut this out, I think. And then just cannot hold off Shantasara, who pulls away a little bit as they get close to the wire, and the margin will be about half a length. I still think, I'm going to do it. And about here, I think, nah, Shantasara is going to get it done. So my top 2 flip-flopped here. But it was a Chad Brown exact. A nice purchase for the owners, Michael Dubb, Matacat and Company. They purchased this one from Europe, and boy, this is the scenario, and this is how you want it to work out when you make a private purchase. And I'm not sure what they paid, but I'm sure it was a decent amount of money. And you bring the horse over from Europe, and 3 starts later, you win a $700,000 race. Prior to yesterday, they had won the Grade 3 Pucker Up out at Arlington, and from what I read, they were looking at that the Saratoga step in this series for the Phillies on the turf. But Chad Brown thought, I think the Pucker Up is going to be a little more suited to her and give her a little confidence, and that's just the way it turned out. They wound up with Flavien Prat out in Chicago for that pucker up at Arlington. Got a win there. Flavien Prat back on board yesterday, and Chad Brown in the winner's circle kind of complimented Flavien, and they were happy to get him in Chicago and happy that he could come back and ride yesterday. But again, nice private purchase and a couple of wins, and Chad Brown in the winner's circle also touted the ownership connection, because you pay a lot of money, and again, they were thinking that big purse up at Saratoga in this series, but instead they went to Chicago for the pucker up, and so he complimented the ownership group on their patience with the horse, and it paid off yesterday in a $700,000 race with a nice victory there over the barnmate Higher Truth, who ran well, as I say. I thought had the shot of getting it done. Higher Truth was the favorite. Harajuku was a horse that took some action too and went off as the third choice. That one went off as the second choice. That one wound up running third for Andre Favre and Ryan Moore. But the top two, the Chad Exact, for a couple of bucks, you got $37 and change for the Chad runners running 1-2 in there. For both of these, Chad Brown said, not the Breeders' Cup. Breeders' Cup unlikely. Maybe go in the December 26th American Oaks out at San Anita, or maybe just kind of sit out and wait for these two to come back for their 4-year-old season. So we'll keep our eyes open for Higher Truth and Shantasara and see what's up for them next. But again, maybe a year-end start out at San Anita and that American Oaks. Otherwise, let me pull up a little earlier in the day. We had another stake to take a look at Belmont, and that was the Grand Prix American Jockey Club, and everybody was on board Lone Rock, and it looked like public handicappers who were handicapping the race were all saying the same thing. As a marathoner, this guy just has the rest of them over a barrel. Won the Birdstone last time. Prior to that, won the Brooklyn, won the marathon down at Churchill in the last 3 starts, mile and a half, mile and 3/4. And it just looked like had it over this field. I thought Moretti was interesting as maybe an alternative. That one scratched. So at that point, boy, it just looked like it was going to be tough to beat Lone Rock. But it was not Lone Rock's day, as we'll see when we pick it up. Lone Rock is the number 4 horse and just doesn't quite get into gear. Here you think, okay, Lone Rock maybe, but you can see the jock really working. Instead, it's locally owned, who has the same ownership or part of the same ownership as Lone Rock. So the owners wound up kind of happy, part of the owners anyway, but locally owned just keeps going. Closed in around the turn and got it done under Dylan Davis, snuck up the rail. It was a clever ride. When things opened up, the 2 front runners kind of floated out, and Dylan Davis sneaks up the rail and gets the jump on the stable mate, the barn mate, the ownership mate, and then takes him all the way as the rank outside. No, he wasn't quite the longest shot on the board, close to it, but at 18-1, $39 for locally owned. Lone Rock winds up second in here, and as I say, at 10 cents to the dollar, blew up some picks and whatnot, I'm sure. And if you had locally owned, you had to be very happy, because again, you beat a 1-9 shot and a 10 cent to the dollar shot, and your plays are blowing up nicely. But Lone Rock just didn't have it yesterday. Still, if you're talking about marathoners, he's at the top of the class. But it was a nice performance from locally owned, who's coming off a bad beat up at Saratoga previously at 1 1/8 and really wasn't proven at any kind of marathon distance, but trained by Tom Morley, who had another nice win on the day as well. Tom Morley's had a good couple of weeks as well, but he gets it done with locally owned in there. All right, let's shift our attention now over to Woodbine and their stakes action from yesterday, and we'll kick things off with the highlight of the card, the Woodbine Mile. Nice field. I like Raging Bull in here, but Set Piece was certainly worth taking a look at from Brad Cox. Ride a Comet from Mark Casse, March to the Arch from Mark Casse. Raging Bull, of course, Chad Brown. Raging Bull's going to be the number 7 horse here. March to the Arch, the number 3. Ride a Comet, the number 4. But it's number 1, Town Cruise, at 8-1 over number 10, Space Traveler. getting it done as things fall apart a little bit here late. And you get some closers coming up and getting it done behind Town Cruise, because Town Cruise took them all the way. Got on the front and never looked back. Things, as I say, jumbled up a little bit subsequently behind him, but he takes them all the way. Set out some pretty easy fractions, 24 and change, 47, 110 and change, 122. So they were legit. They weren't crazy, but gets home in 135.14 under Fukumoto. Clearly, as you saw there, he was very happy, as he should be. But it was an interesting story as well with the connections. Owned by Brandon Greer, trained by Brandon Greer, bred by Brandon Greer and Company, and Brandon is also his groom. And he said, this is a win and urine for the Breeders' Cup Mile. And he his quotes where he said, we're not going to the Breeders' Cup Mile. He said something like, it's not our kind of place. We belong up here. It's not. So I wonder if maybe they'll reconsider. They have a shot, it's a win and you're in. So they have a shot to go out there and coming off a win like this, you'd think they'd take, but he seemed in the post-race quotes to be a little bit leery about heading out to Del Mar, as he is more of, I guess, a Toronto Woodbine guy. But it was a nice win yesterday, certainly, in the Woodbine Mile for Town Cruise. All right, let's go a little bit earlier on the card. The Canadian International, another Grade 1. This one a little less of an upset than the Woodbine Mile, and in fact that 4 to 5 Walton Street was taking the action from the public and got it done. I had Walton Street on top. I showed yesterday replays of Dubai City of Gold earlier this year and looked at that one as a race to hang your hat on a little bit. And Walton Street does have the lead here, and just, you're not sweating. The chart margin winds up to be 5 3/4. Desert Encounter, another European, winds up second, but again, a well-beaten second. Primo Touch, who led much of the way and had a pretty good lead early on at 41-1, holds on for third in here. But again, it was Walton Street. Frankie Dettori on board for Charlie Appleby, getting it done in the Canadian International. And finally, there was another stake a little bit earlier on that Woodbine card, and we will take a look at the Canadian, because this one has a winner who shipped in from Saratoga, La Dragon T for Christophe Clement. La Dragon T, the number 3 horse in here, went off as the 6 to 5 favorite. Has to work for it a little bit, but winds up the chart margin of a length. Court Return second, Barkin third. Joel Rosario is on board, the winner here again for Christophe Clement. Dean Reeves and Company owning, had Dean on the show up at Saratoga this summer. But as you can see, as I said, had to work for it a little bit until separated from the pack, and then you're not really, that last 16th or so, you weren't really sweating. La Dragon T, again, went off as the favorite in the 5-horse field and gets it done in the Canadian yesterday at Saratoga. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the action from last night at Churchill. Really great stakes card going well into the evening. And in a few minutes, we'll also be joined by Tom Bellhouse to preview some of the Woodbine action today, as they have a runner in the Summer Stakes, Dripping Gold, who looks so good up here at Saratoga. That's all coming up when we return. Take a break. Back with Racing Across America on a Sunday morning in just a couple. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Racebook. Here you can wager year-round on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning, September 19th. Again, last night, great card at Churchill. We will hit on that momentarily. First, let me remind you that today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, it's an NFL Sunday. Love to have you come down and enjoy the action. You can put your name on a square. Maybe you win a football jersey or a restaurant voucher. If you wear a jersey, you get in for free. We do this every Sunday throughout the NFL season. NFL Sundays at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All the football action, all the racing action every Sunday here at the Racebook. All right, again, last night, lots of great action at Churchill, including the Locust Grove, leader in this Filly and Mayor division, clearly Latruska, but a notable second. I mean, this is a horse that is now 4 for 5 after last night this season for Brad Cox. Had won the Clement Hirsch out at Del Mar last time, which bodes well, obviously, for the Breeders' Cup. Does have a win over Latruska, in fact, earlier this season. So this division is now intriguing, I think. And She Dares the Devil went off as the 3-5 favorite. And so betting-wise, it wasn't super exciting. It plays out the way you thought it would with She Dares the Devil winning. Envoûtant and Crystal Ball were the two logical alternatives. They're going to run second and third. She Dares the Devil is the 7. Crystal Ball is the number 1. Envoûtant is the number 5. They'll run 1, 2, 3. I guess, given it's a neck victory, I guess she had to work more than you would have thought. I'm not sure. I think this is good race riding as Florent Giroux has Tyler Gaffalione and Crystal Ball a little bit tight down there on the rail. I never looked at the head-on. From the pan shot, I don't think it got too tight that there was anything, and the stewards didn't look. But as I say, I didn't look at the head-on. But I think it was enough that maybe Crystal Ball was a little bit more reluctant to go through than you would have wanted if you liked Crystal Ball. But it was a win. She did it. She got it done that she was supposed to at the short price. The big one is the next one, obviously. So as I say, I suppose you could be a little bit concerned by the margin. But Crystal Ball is a very good horse, and it's a W. I don't know, regardless of the neck victory, it's a W now for She Dares the Devil. And as I say, 4 for 5 this year with a victory earlier over Latruska. So it's setting things up nicely for a showdown coming up in the Breeders' Cup. Again, highlighting some of that stakes action last night at Churchill, which will have implications, obviously, on Breeders' Cup weekend, including on the 2-year-old side of things. This was a nice field in the Iroquois. We had talked to Steve Asmussen when we interviewed him about a week and a half ago up at Saratoga, Stellar Tap, Guntown. Were they going to go on the hopeful? And he said, no, I think the 2 turns down at Churchill is going to suit them. They were in the Iroquois. Stellar Tap, the number 6. Guntown, the number 9. I had them 1-2. Major General, I had down in the 4th slot. This horse won the career debut up at Saratoga. Nice ding-dong battle over Bourbon Heist. That one also in last night at Churchill. Major General, a son of Constitution, lived up to that win early breeding with the sire in that neck victory up at Saratoga. Javier Castellano on board last night. And Major General, the number 8 horse, gets it done. Nice gutsy victory. Number 1, Tough to Tame at 37-1. Holds on for second. and really ding-dongs for a second. You thought maybe the one would kind of go by here, but it is a neck victory. Red Knobs, the number 7. I'll talk about that one in a moment. That one runs 3rd. Bourbon Heist 4th. Stellar Tap 5th. And subsequently, there was a claim of foul. Stellar Tap's jockey, Ricardo Santana, claimed against the winner. I only saw the replay once because I was actually watching on my television, and when they went to the replay, I wanted to get a better look, so I ran in and pulled it up on the computer as they were replaying the steward's view. And so I only saw the replay once. Good shot. I didn't think there was much there. It kind of jams up as they come out of the turn and into the stretch, and there is a little bumping between, again, number 8, Major General, and number 6, Stellar Tap. They'll straighten up as they come into the stretch. And as I say, there's a little bit of bumping, but to me, it was almost more that the 6 Stellar Tap maybe initiated a little more, but we'll see as they come in and turn for home here. And this was what the stewards looked at too. They watched the whole situation, the whole thing kind of play out. But again, I think the claim was as they come out of the turn and into the stretch, and up in the upper left, you can see the chiclets, or not. There we go. You can see the chiclets, and again, it's the 6 and the 8 as they come out of the turn. And again, I thought it was a little more Stellar Tap maybe initiating it. You'll see, I'm trying to think of which, I think it's the bottom right where they get the head on. Maybe it's so it's the upper right. And you can see right there, it seems like the inside horse is more leaning on the eventual winner. There is some bumping, but as I say, to me, it looked maybe more like Stellar Tap kind of initiated it, and that one then fades. So I don't blame Ricardo Santana. There was some bumping, and hey, make the stewards look at it. But as I say, that was my second look, and I still feel like I did before. I think the stewards made the right decision with the no change there. Major General gets it done for Todd Pletcher, Windstar and Company. Obviously, and I've said it over the past couple of days, I think for the past few years, both fall meets at Churchill, 2-year-old races, 2-year-old stakes, produce some very interesting 2-year-olds for the remainder of the year, and then as 3-year-olds going into next year as well. And one of the key parts of that is you have a win at Churchill. So that was a nice victory for Major General, career start number 2. I'm not going to hold it against Stellar Tap. Did fade to wind up 5th in there, Guntown 6th. But Stellar Tap looked really good up at Saratoga. This is a tough ask to move into, graded stakes company, go from 1 turn to 2 turns. So I'll reserve judgment. Let me see another one from Stellar Tap and see if this experience doesn't play out and become a little bit interesting. I said I was going to mention Red Knobs at 29-1, completed your trifecta, and I'll tip my cap to Brian Addo, who tossed this one out yesterday as a horse to take a look at in the race at potentially a price. And again, Red Knobs from Dale Romans was 29-1. But as Brian said, past couple of years, Dale has brought in a couple of horses from Ellis to win this race. Dennis's Moment 2 years ago as a short-priced favorite, but sitting on Go last year at 24-1, who had a buyer that was a little bit light, but came in from Ellis and upset this race. And so Brian said, take a look at Red Knobs. Comes in, the buyer is a little bit light, but won at Ellis, comes in. Sure enough, Dale completes the trifecta at 29-1. And had the objection been upheld, he would have completed the exact at a price. But it was a nice call from Brian to say, at least consider that horse in your mix. Certainly worth doing so. All right, let's go a little bit earlier on the card as well. We will look at the girls' version, the Pocahontas, and it will be Hidden Connection getting it done. I like Goddess of Fire. That one is going to wind up, an okay third. The sibling to Mind Control from Todd Pletcher, Goddess of Fire, the number 2. Mama Rena, the number 3, runs second, but it is a clear and decisive win for Hidden Connection. I had that one right underneath. I used Goddess of Fire on top. Hidden Connection, though, just super impressive in the Colonial debut back in the middle of August, winning off by 7.5. Yesterday, it was a chart margin of 9.25. This is a nice little 2-year-old to keep our eyes on, 2-year-old filly. By Connect, they paid $85,000 for this horse at an Ocala sale earlier this year. It has clearly paid off big time for them, winning the maiden debut at Colonial and now winning the group, the graded stakes race, the Pocahontas last night at Churchill. On board that day, on board yesterday, and back at Colonial, Raylu Gutierrez, he's a guy we have to keep our eyes on. Started the career, I want to say out at Finger Lakes. He was racing at Finger Lakes. I think he's from that area. And just looking up a little information yesterday, graduated from SUNY Cortland back in 2017. So still a young guy, but I think he's an up-and-comer. And having seen interviews with him over the past couple of years, and last night at Churchill, fun guy. I'm going to have to get him in maybe at Saratoga next year if he shows up there. Last year, the year before, he was a regular at Saratoga. He was kind of bouncing between Saratoga and Finger Lakes most of the season. I think it was last summer, not 2020. But it might have been 2 years ago. But this summer, he was out at Remington. He was racing a little bit at Colonial. Now I think he's going to spend this meet at Churchill. I think this was his first Churchill win. But I looked up Equibase last night. He's got Churchill mounts today. And again, I'm talking Raylu Gutierrez. Churchill mounts today, Churchill mounts next week. But tomorrow, he's got a mount at Finger Lakes. So head home. And as I say, he's a fun and enthusiastic guy. He was clearly thrilled in the winner's circle yesterday after the win on Hidden Connection in the Pocahontas. And Brett Calhoun, the trainer, was interviewed as well and say, he hooked up with Raylu and had Raylu on at Colonial for Hidden Connection's debut. And he said, I'm using him. And he's a jock to watch. And I think he's right. He's only been riding 4+ years. And so Raylu Gutierrez, nice win last night. Congratulations, as I say. Be interesting to watch going forward. All right, the Louisville Thoroughbred Society. I like Bango in here. Bango's the number 5 horse and is right there into the stretch. The number 5 Bango, but just can't get past Just Might. Just Might led them all the way around, and so Bango kind of fades a little bit here. The interesting horse coming up on the outside, Endorsed, looks like a potential winner. I had talked about Endorsed yesterday. The claim box was just on fire up at Saratoga, and Mike Maker and Mark Breen, the owner, claimed this one for $100,000 up at Saratoga on August 6th. And Endorsed was a horse who had some promise early in the career, hadn't quite lived up to that, but they dipped in for $100K, come back in this stake last night, and charged down the stretch and looked like they may be a winner, wound up second in there. But that was an interesting story with the $100,000 claim. And then, a nice little second place finish in a $275,000 stake. So they got the majority chunk of their change back last night with the second place finish. But Just Might, who I had Bango on top, I had Just Might right underneath. Just Might, most of the career has been on the turf, but has had some pretty good dirt starts, including a dirt win at Colonial last time, but validated his dirt form last night, getting it done. Bango running third in there, but a nice performance by Just Might, Rafael Bejarano on board. And a little bit earlier in the evening, it was the Open Mind short field of only 5, but you had Bell's the One in Wisconsin, and when you get races like this, you hope you get that battle down the stretch, and we got it in the Open Mind. It was Wisconsin and Bell's the One duking it out down the stretch. Wisconsin, the number 2 horse, Bell's the One, number 5. Monday Call, the number 1, winds up third. But it was the 2 marquee players in here duking it out. Wisconsin just proving to be best. Kind of got the jump on Bell's the One. Bell's the One is grinding it out. You think, going to go by. And then you kind of realize, no. Wisconsin is not going to let that one by. Gets it done for Greg Foley. We have talked to Greg a couple of times by phone after a win by Wisconsin and before she ran last time up at Saratoga. And so like to root for those guys because they've been generous with their time with us. And Wisconsin got it done yesterday as the second choice at 9-5. Tyler Gaffleone on board. All right. That brings us to our next commercial break as we've gone through most of that stakes action from yesterday. As I say, there was also some great stakes at Laurel and whatnot. But Churchill, Woodbine, and Belmont with really, really good stakes action yesterday that will clearly have Breeders' Cup implications. We'll see. Maybe there's a couple more Breeders' Cup implications today at Woodbine with the Natalma in the summer, winning your in turf stakes for the 2-year-olds. On the boys' side, we have Dripping Gold from West Point in the summer. And up next, we'll be joined by Tom Bellhouse from West Point to talk a little Dripping Gold and more. All of that right after this. Stay with us.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB. Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. As noted before the break, we are joined now by Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds. And again, they have a nice runner that we'll hit on in just a second up at Woodbine this afternoon, in a race they have some familiarity with in the past. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Seth. Great to be with you this morning.
Great to have you on board. And before we get into a little Woodbine, I haven't talked to you really since Saratoga. I talk to you in person at Saratoga a lot. Normally we get you over to sit in with us at Saratoga, and I had like a reduced schedule, and so I still had a list of people I wanted to get to, and you and Terry were on the list, but I didn't get a chance to bring you over. So just like your impression, Saratoga with the fans back this year, and I thought there was some really great racing. I was glad fans were on track to see some of the great performances, and it was fun to see you and the West Point gang on occasion over there as well. Give me your thoughts, recap Saratoga 2021.
I kept circling around the tent in a golf cart, hoping you'd grab me, but
Yeah, very good. Usually that works.
Yeah, it was a wonderful summer. I mean, it was everything we could have hoped for coming back off of 2020. It just felt that when we hit the Whitney weekend that Saratoga was back.
Yeah.
That we just had tremendous crowds, and obviously the wagering and the handle was just, everything was spectacular. It was a little odd. It seemed a little chalky from a horse player standpoint, but it was just great to be back and see all our, we probably had a record number of partners come into town and at various times, and people just being wanting to be a part of it. So it was great, and it gave us a lot of enthusiasm, and hopefully in the next year or so, it sounds like they're going to be even making more facility changes up at like with the 1863 Club and all the new activities and attractions they have at the track. So being someone who lives in Saratoga, great that we made it through unscathed, and can't wait for next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to be interested to see that they're now opening up the 1863 Club for off-season events. And I'm going to be interested to see if people take them up on that, because I thought, man, what a great place for like a corporate party if you go there at Christmas time and maybe hope for a little snow on the track. I think people will be totally into that kind of a thing.
No, absolutely. And I know there's been some discussions, around the country with the outdoor hockey that you've seen at the major venues, and I know they want to do that eventually at Belmont. There's been some chatter about maybe in the next few years trying to do that with Saratoga as well, having a hockey rink outside, and just lots of different things to take advantage of a facility that, for racing, it's second to none. So
that'd be cool. Yeah. And before we get on to the racing, I also want to ask you, we'll talk in a few minutes about a Saratoga purchase you guys made a couple of years ago, but how active were you this year up at Saratoga, and have you guys been active? I know typically you guys are players at the various sales. Have you been active also down at Keeneland the past few days?
Yeah, I mean, the Saratoga sales were just amazing. To come away with, parts of 5 horses at a very, very select sale. I think there was only a couple hundred horses that actually went through the ring, and to be able to have some great alliances and come away with 5 horses or pieces of 5 horses, and then going into Keeneland, I got to be honest with you, I'm not even exactly sure how many we've come away with at Keeneland right now. But, Seth, the industry with regard to, partnerships has really become even more alliance-based, where we're building up great alliances with other owners, and we're buying horses at the sale with them. Right now we have pieces of 18 yearlings. That's a record already, and I know we're not done yet, but just really, really exciting to be able to put that many offerings in front of our partners and prospective partners, and really, take the stable to a new level as far as numbers, and hopefully, give people the opportunity to be a part of some pedigrees that, let's face it, and we wouldn't have been able to dream about 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, and as I say, we'll talk about the purchase you made a couple of years ago up in Saratoga that it has just been phenomenal so far. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but before we do that, and again, I will remind people, there are all kinds of partnerships out there. If you're thinking about it, research and find what's right for you. But West Point does a great job, and you guys have I always compliment you on the website. And I would tell people, regardless of if you're interested or not in partnerships, pull up your website, because it's just fun to kind of follow racing with local people connected. And it's westpointtv.com. Westpointtv.com. Good website to put on your list. But Tom, let's get into it today at Woodbine, the summer Grade 1 event. Win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of your Saratoga winners, a very impressive winner, Dripping Gold. We're going to go back to August 7th, the career debut, West Point Thoroughbreds and Company, Shug McGahee, Jose Lescano was on board that day. The number 2 horse in here wins by a chart margin 2 1/4. Talk a little bit about this debut, because again, I thought this was a really impressive 2-year-old debut up at Saratoga.
Yeah, as you can see on the video, Seth, I mean, he's just a beautiful mover, and just made his way throughout that race. And the part of that makes this win so amazing compared to other wins you see at maidens at Saratoga. This horse, there was a lot of commotion, and we were in the first race that day in the paddock, and he got spooked from behind by another horse and kicked out, and actually struck our assistant trainer, Anthony Hamilton, and Jose Lescano. Literally, both of them got kicked, and it created about almost a 20-minute delay. And it really was of no fault of the horse, other than that another horse spooked behind him and came up on him real quick. And he, as they were just about to give a leg up to Lescano, he just wheeled and turned and fired, trying to get the other horse. And unfortunately, he got our assistant trainer and our jockey. It was probably one of the scariest moments of my racing career, to be in the paddock. And I assumed we were going to scratch the horse, to be honest with you. But they settled the horse down, and Lescano, it turns out, was fine. And thank God Anthony had a slight concussion, and, they took him to the hospital. But, it was the most surreal race I've ever watched in my life, because you've been with us at the big screen. Usually we're hooting and hollering and stuff, and I think I was still in a state of shock of what I had just seen in the paddock. And you look at the racing form, and it says we paid 6-1. We were actually 2-1 when that happened. So a lot of people must have seen what I saw and just started canceling their tickets, and we floated up. But he's a very, very kind horse. He's regally bred. I mean, Lemon Drop Kid out of Aurelia, the Danzig mare. That's Helen Alexander. That breeding. To see a colt like that in a sale, we were able to get him. It's kind of funny. He cost $300,000 as a 2-year-old at March at OBS, and I must have had at least 10 people come up to me and said that was my favorite horse at the OBS sale. Like, well, he was everybody's favorite. How come he only cost $300,000?
Sometimes it works out that way.
Exactly, and he's, as we've had a lot of success with the winning at Saratoga, and then just pointing towards the summer stakes, and trying to do the winning you're in for the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf with Untamed Domain, and then obviously with Decorated Invader. Untamed Domain ran so well in the Breeders' Cup that made the summer stake a Grade 1, and then we were lucky to come back and win it with Decorated Invader, and got him the winning you're in to Santa Anita that year. Now, that all being said, this group of horses in the summer that Godolphins brought over here are they're legitimate.
Yeah, it's a 9-horse field, and it's a fun field. There's a horse that I think could float under the radar, Grafton Street, from Mark Casse. Debuted in an off-the-turfer back in May, but had a bullet workout on the turf in August. And Ron Gierke had written a column, and I think Mark Cassie's kind of high on this. And that scenario, to me, is very interesting. So that's a horse that I have in my mix as well. I put you guys on top, though. I just thought, and I'm glad you brought up the whole scenario, because, I walked into the paddock. I got there just before that race was supposed to go off, and kind of missed the initial commotion, but then everything was at a standstill. And as you say, there was probably about a 20-minute delay, which can certainly put a horse off its game, given that. And he came out and he ran like a champ that day. I'm assuming, given again what has happened with Untamed Domain and Decorated Invader, I'm assuming after this race you were probably automatically thinking summer in the next start.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Shug. This is one of the first few horses we've ever had with Shug. He's in New York. He actually, believe it or not, Shug's never won a race in Canada.
Oh.
And I found that totally shocking when he told us. So it wasn't probably his first thought. I think he would have gone to the traditional New York route. And then we just mentioned, given the considering what happened when the colt debuted, would it work better to give him a couple extra weeks and when you're in Canada? And he actually loved the idea. He warmed up to it quickly, because it was that race at Kentucky Downs for the big money as well that was under consideration. But this ship is not a hard ship to get him up there, and we'll see. I think the Godolphin breeding program over the last 20 years is really starting to take hold. When you see these homebreds come over here, and Charlie Appleby, it seems like everywhere you turn around, he's running a horse from Dubai that's finally living up to the hype over the years, and they're just gorgeous animals. So when you see two Godolphin horses here, one with Charlie Appleby, one with Owen Hardy, and then Mark Casse has 4 runners, right?
Yeah.
So it's the Grafton Street. If you look on paper, of the 4 of them, is probably has the least credentials, but has the most incredible breed. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. But Rosario's going up there to ride a few horses. He was there yesterday, rode the Clement to a victory in the stake, and we're excited to have Joel. And if this horse is as good as we hope, I think it'll be a great day. That maybe it launches us to the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Again, it's a good field. I think coming out of that Saratoga race, you guys are in a good spot. So rooting for you guys, as I always do. I always like to root for the local connection. So Dripping Gold this afternoon in the summer, maybe bringing you out to the Breeders' Cup again as well. But as I mentioned earlier, I want to hear your thoughts and the thoughts of the partners. I mean, you guys have to be thrilled. I'm getting back to Flightline. I mentioned earlier we were going to talk about a big Saratoga purchase. You had 2019, $1 million right up the turnpike at the Saratoga sale. Flightline has now raced 2 times. We're going to take a look at the last start, but in the career debut back in April, a 105 buyer for Flightline. Subsequently is off until the Del Mar meet, and we're going to pull up the September 5th race. Flightline is the number 8 horse here. You will see a 12.5 length victory and a 114 buyer. Just talk a little bit about how pleased you guys are with the first couple of starts with Flightline and maybe what you're thinking for this one next.
Well, I mean, I think the video pretty much says itself. I mean, explains itself. I mean, he's under wraps and he's going 108. I mean, I don't know if there's enough words to buy Flightline. The running joke is you want to make somebody smile in our company, just go Flightline, you know, and then you just start smiling. But listen, he's only won 2 races. He's won in an allowance. I know that. But we've never had a horse. Some of the great horses we've had, Freedom Rush is the one that comes to mind, is the most brilliant. I mean, we're talking this horse is 25 buyers points faster than her at the same time. I mean, it's just John Sadler has said this is the best horse he's ever laid his hands on. So you can't help but get excited. You try to be realistic that, somebody who plays the horses every day, that, first time they go 2 turns, first time they go against stakes competition, but he just might be that kind of freak. I mean, he just, there's comparisons to Seattle Flu and things like that people have made when they talk about just the way he moves and how effortless it is. And I know that, listen, the horse has only won an allowance race, but we've never had a horse like him. And I guess that'd be the best way to describe it. And, the conservative route would be to find a small stake on the undercard of the Breeders' Cup and then shoot for the Malibu going 7 furlongs, day after Christmas. But I don't know. John Sadler mentioned the Breeders' Cup. It's funny. We were talking about the 3-year-old class a while back, and was this 3-year-old class as great as some of the other ones we've seen? And we thought maybe at the time, Essential Quality being the big horse and was at a weak class, and it turned out when you saw the Great Belmont Stakes, and then what we don't talk about is the sprinting class of 3-year-olds. I mean, you have Jackie's Warrior, you have all of a sudden this horse Bo Liam, who for Steve Asmussen, who's also a bit of a freak. The Saffie Joseph horse. We have a nice little horse named Jackson Traveler who's really been running on grass just to kind of stay away from Jackie's Warrior and drain the clock, But, there's a lot of really, really nice horses. And then if you put Flightline in the mix there, that whole 3-year-old class, top to bottom, is very, very exciting. And I think whatever John decides, it'll be the right decision. But when I heard him mention the Breeders' Cup, I couldn't help but smile because we're all going to be there. And wouldn't that be special?
I mean, off those first 2, just from a 105 and a 114 buyer, it's just incredible. So looking forward to seeing Flightline and what does come up next. Also wanted to get a little update on Sequist. Ran 4th at the end of the Saratoga meet in the spin away, but that was only the 2nd career start. So that was an ask coming off a career debut. I pulled up the career debut down at Colonial. We're going to look at Sequist, the number 10 horse, get it done. First start out of the box, that's always impressive. And then, as I say, subsequently 4th in the spin away. I looked at Equibase yesterday. Looks like Sequist down at Churchill and had to work just a couple of days ago. Under the tutelage of Dallas Stewart. Any plans in the works for Sequist?
Yeah, I think we're tentatively looking at the Alcibiades at Keeneland.
Okay.
If you see, watching her win at Colonial, she got a little traffic on the turn, broke the step slow, and then come running. And if you go back and watch the spin away, as they turned for home, she was in Wilton. She wasn't even within 20 lengths of the last horse, and just got a little far back, got outrun a little, but then really turned it on and finished fourth and galloped out wonderfully. And as really, she's a Nyquist, a daughter of Nyquist, and she just gives every indication that she's going to want the 2 turns, and we're very excited about her, and especially if not right now, then definitely pointing towards the spring.
Yeah, we looked at that Colonial win. That was very impressive. So looking forward to her as well. Want to get back to another, and maybe the guys in the control room can pull it up. I didn't call. Oh, they're one step ahead of me. They got it ready to go. We're going to look at 14-0, August 22nd. Another debut winner up at Saratoga. You got to love the debut winners up at Saratoga. Another debut winner for West Point Thoroughbreds, 14-0. Going to be the number 3 horse here. What's up next for this one?
She's she came. If we watch the replay, that was a really, really heavy bog of a track that day. It wasn't. They never actually gave it a bye. If you look at the kick up, and she just she's just coming along and just trying to make her way through that soft ground. And actually, the horse on the outside in the blue hat, yellow silks, is a horse owned by Rob Masiello. And right here, I think she's going to go right by us. But Rob's horse came back and ran a good third and got put up to second the other day at Belmont. So 14-0, we're gonna look to probably it's going to work this weekend. And if everything goes well, we're probably looking at either the Miss Grillo or the Jessamine at Keeneland, the Miss Grillo at Belmont. But that's where Christoph, as of this week, was leaning.
Sounds good. Where's the name come from?
That is, her sire is Frankel, and Frankel's career record was
of course.
14-0.
Of course. Yes. How did I not? Yeah, very good. I like that. Just before we let you go, one more. We were talking before we went on the air. A little update on First Captain, and I think we have the Dwyer from First Captain a little earlier this year. First Captain, the number 2 horse, lightly raced runner for you guys and Shug. And the game plan was going to be next weekend, potentially in the Pennsylvania Derby. But as we were talking before we went on the air, maybe a little bit of a setback that'll delay this one coming back. But talk a little bit about First Captain.
Yeah, nothing's confirmed yet, but I know that he missed the work, and he was supposed to work, and Shug was a little up in the air. It's been my experience when the trainer says he's a little up in the air, that means we'll probably skip it. But as of right now, I think we've had some kind of a little hiccup, and we'll probably just look to races either later in the fall, or we'll just look for Gulfstream.
Yeah, I mean, only 4 starts so far, 3 nice wins, including that Dwyer third last time in the Curlin. So certainly plenty of future for that one left out there to look forward to. Tom, appreciate the visit. We wish you a lot of good luck this afternoon. Looking forward to some of the other horses we talked about shortly down the road as well. But again, good luck with Dripping Gold this afternoon in the summer, and we'll talk again.
So thanks to you and the team for having me on. We're undefeated when you interview me on the day of the summer. So let's get it done.
Keep it rolling, baby. Thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye now.
Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds. They had Decorated Invader that won a couple of years ago, and we talked to Tom that morning as well. So we're wishing them a lot of, again, I always like to root for the locals, local connections, and the big races like that. So Dripping Gold this afternoon, but looking forward to Flightline coming back. Yeah, they've got some nice horses in the group. And again, it's westpointtb.com if you want to check out their website and learn a little more about them and their partnership group and whatnot. All right, I think I've covered everything, and it's time to wrap it up. I will be back an hour and a half or so with OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. We're going to take a look at some of that Woodbine action today leading into the Natalma and the summer, and we'll take a look at some Belmont as well, probably a little Churchill also this afternoon as we kick things off on the Sunday afternoon side again in about an hour and a half or so. We'll wrap it up this morning by reminding you that here at the Clubhouse Racebook today, it's an NFL Sunday. Wear your jersey and get in for free. Maybe you can win a jersey by putting your name on the squares or maybe a restaurant voucher. Always a lot of fun. Watch all the football action and all the racing action right here at the Clubhouse Racebook every Sunday during the NFL season, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm Seth Merrow. This has been Racing Across America for Sunday morning. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned this afternoon, and we'll have some fun and maybe some good luck, and we'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.